Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Folks, we're going to talk about two comic books here. The first one is from that Empire Strikes Back monthly comic book series I told you about that was exclusive to the UK. This is issue 153. It was written by Steve Moore and it's called Dark Knights, like the K in Knights, Dark Knights, Devilry. So in this one, basically, Luke and Leia go to Jareen to search for a crystal that they hear can turn back time. Now, they actually get captured around the planet by Imperials, and then people on the planet ambush those Imperials, capture Luke and Leia, and they threaten to kill them. Why are you rebels here? Why are y'all bringing this fight to our planet? They're probably not saying that with a southern accent of y'all. But anyway, they're trying to figure out why they are there. And of course they say, hey, look, we heard that there's this crystal y'all have, or legend says, that can turn back time. And see, my friend Leia here, she's really upset that Alderaan exploded, so she wants to find that crystal, turn back time, and save the planet. Yeah, that was a story. Man, these UK comic books were kind of weird. I don't really know how that would fly, and I kind of think that Lucasfilm gave them a little bit more free reign than they did with the comic books in the US, because I guess back then they thought, well, who's going to read it in the US? I don't know, or maybe they just didn't read anything that they were printing over in the UK. That just seems wild, and I'm so glad something like this really doesn't exist, the crystal, because if you were able to turn back time, you guys know how I feel about time travel. I'm so glad that Star Wars doesn't have that. At least I should say travel back in time. There are people who travel forward in time and, you know, they couldn't get back, which I'm fine with that. But when you put time travel into the mix, that just messes things up. At least for me it does. So this is another weird story from Empire Strikes Back Monthly. Just chalk it up for a weird one and move on. So speaking of moving on, let's head back to the US and their comic book series that was going on at the time, Marvel Star Wars Comics. Uh-oh, do you know that I am on issue 50 now? This was the big one, right? Issue 50, written by Archie Goodwin. And basically in this one, it stars everyone. It has Lando and Chewie, who are still looking for Han, but they get called back because Leia says, hey, Luke got infected with some crimson virus. It's turning him crimson, and we need your help to save him. And so they turn around, they go back, and everyone's involved. The droids are there. Luke's there, kind of passed out. He's turning scarlet. There's this disease that, you know, Luke and a strike team got on one of their missions, and they're trying to figure out ways to cure it. Well, of course, this is issue 50, so we got to bring everyone in it. So Chewie starts telling a story about how he and Han came across this virus too, and what they did. Now, this is basically a double-sized issue, so it's basically two different comic book stories. So this is a way to bring Han Solo into the comic book series for issue number 50 when you technically couldn't, because he was frozen in carbonite at this time and they weren't allowed to use Han Solo in the comic book series until Jedi came out. So you weren't supposed to know the fate of Han Solo. You weren't supposed to know, hey, what are they doing? He's stuck in carbonite. Is he still there? What's, you know, aren't they going to save him or anything? They couldn't even touch that type of story back then. Lucasfilm put that off limits. So it's like, okay, we can't mention him, but we can put him in a flashback. And I'm glad they did. I mean, issue 50 back then, I know was a big deal, and they wanted to do the issue where everyone could be a part of it. And so that was the best suggestion that they had. They said, hey, let's put him in a flashback. That way the whole gang can be together, at least, you know, literally speaking. The comic book as a whole is okay. For a 50th issue, what else could they do? I'm kind of torn here. Should they have done something just boom, fantastic, you know, some big storyline, some mega storyline that the Star Wars Annual did? Or, you know, do they do something that's a side story, which is what they went with, and brought all the characters in for this one adventure instead of splitting them up and doing little adventures individually with each one? I guess they did the best decision there, but for issue 50, wouldn't you want to see something big? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, if they did something too big, then I'd be complaining like, oh, come on, they run into Vader again? You know, I don't know. So overall, though, issue 50 is pretty good. Archie Goodwin, for the most part, knows what he's doing, and it makes for a decent issue 50, even though, I mean, I'm sure reading as a kid, I would have loved it. Anyway, folks, that's all the time I have for now. See you next time with more videos.